What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're providing you a state of the market and stock picks for September 23rd, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this glorious market. So today, very quiet day, especially coming off of a day in which Powell, we came off a third 75-point basis move plus a very, very hawkish Powell. And the market hardly even moved today. Now, this is interesting because of the fact that I've talked about how we could potentially rally just because of the window we are currently in. Being said, tomorrow we do have another Powell. He is giving a speech at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Now, I don't know what for sure that speech is about, but just be mindful every time he's talking, the market sells dramatically. I wouldn't be surprised if we flush tomorrow and then come in at a new level on Monday, getting prepared for some sort of earnings rally. Again, it all depends on how we open and how we close tomorrow. Again, the daily price action really matters, because there's actually a lot of bad news actually coming out right now. There's a lot of layoffs going on. There is a lot of interest, it seems, almost in the housing market and what's going on there. And because of Powell mentioning the fact that housing will have a major correction coming up. Now, how would that be so? We're seeing that with these fast rate increases. People can't buy new homes. New home sales, luxury homes have been way down. I think it's way over 20% for luxury homes, and I think it's 16% for just regular homes. Prices have come back, and to see another correction on that, we'll see what happens. But right now, things are definitely not looking good. People can't afford to buy a new home. People are losing their jobs. So this is leading for people to have to sell their home to get some source of money, and then realize that, okay, well, I have this lump sum of money. Hopefully I can sustain myself until then, but rent is just out of control. This is why we're seeing a massive amount of inflation, because all the inflation is switching over. People are losing jobs, selling their homes, liquidating stuff so that they can move into rentals. And then rentals they don't stay on the market very longer than a couple of hours, and people are buying them. Again, families are moving in together so that they can afford or qualify for rentals. And then from that point forward, that is what's allowing them to get rentals, and why the demand is so high. And because of the demand is so high, people are able to charge essentially whatever they want. And this trend is going to continue for a very long time, considering Powell just said that inflation needs to be sustained at a specific level for a while for inflation to get a handle on. If that is not concerning to you, and you keep buying the dip, you should be concerned, because if a crazy amount of foreclosures happen, there's gonna be a lot of people on the street because they'll have nowhere to go, because rentals are all tied up. People can't afford homes. So you have a lot of houses that get stuck on the market. And if you lose your job and you can't afford the mortgage, you're going to realize that you can't sell your house because nobody's willing to buy at the interest rates that they currently are. And they're at a very high rate. They're already at 7%, I think. And it continues to go up, and will continue to go up with this another 75-point hike. So that's the concern that you need to be paying attention to. And we're not in the winter months, so you're going to get the fuel cost is going to go back up again. You're going to have a massive amount of demand. You're going to get even more destruction, demand, and then stagflation. Again, when that stuff starts hitting, it's more so, okay, well, when is the consumer confidence going to come back? And that is when it's very hard to tell. It depends on how much damage, and this is all driven by the Fed in their trying to get a grasp of inflation. Going into tomorrow, we have Powell. We don't know what we're going to get from him. It's a 2:00 meeting. More than likely, he'll probably actually be giving a speech and probably be throwing more of the same Powell. His tone really hasn't changed. He's been very hawkish since later on in the second half of this year. He's been extremely hawkish on everything that he said. And he has been very transparent about that he's doing whatever it takes and he's not taking 100 points off the table. So we will see what happens from this point forward. The market didn't want to sell today. I was actually very surprised it didn't sell. But the continued bad news is continuing to flood in. The market, again, may try to rally. I wouldn't actually be surprised if we try to rally back up roughly to that 4K. 4K might be pushing it, but roughly at around 4K again. That would put us right back into support after the break, get a good retest, and then we're going to potentially tank even more. That would potentially, if we get some sort of rally starting next week for 2 weeks, could potentially put us up here for the next core, and then find out the core is really bad and start selling us off, and then we could have bad earnings, which feeds into that, what could bring us right to that 36 level to potentially break. Now, this is in hopes that what the current schedule is, and we don't get any black swans, or we could just potentially just keep selling. If you've noticed, we went this long leg with hardly any bounces. You get that one bounce, and then everything just starts selling, and then you get that really strong bounce, everything starts selling again. I see us really revisiting that 36. Whether we break or not, I think depends on earnings. If earnings are bad, I think this is going to break and flush. Things are not priced in. Not everything is priced in. You can't price in a recession. It's not going to happen, especially when you don't know how bad it's going to get. That's why that average recession is roughly around 43%. With all that being said, tomorrow is Friday. We've got Powell. We have to see how we open. We need to, if we open below essentially that 37.55, you got pretty strong support here, so it really just needs to break here. You might chop around. This is why I kind of really hoping we get a pop back up to at least try to retest roughly around that 38.70 or 38.38, but we are not getting any bounce at all. So definitely have to see how we open. Again, if we do sell, it depends on price action. We could flush pretty far, pretty quick. Or we could potentially hold and wait for Powell, even though I don't think we're going to get anything new from Powell. Probably just more of the same Powell, more hawkish news. That might just cause us to sell off even more from here. But we're going to have to see. Bitcoin is holding the 20K mark pretty well, or roughly floats around that 20K mark pretty well. Again, if that candle opens below 18, that's going to be it for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's coming way down, I think, at that point. Could see 15, 12, 10. I think if the market gets panicked and starts selling, I think you're going to see Bitcoin under 10K again, easily. Everything is going to sell. It doesn't matter what it is. Nothing is safe at that point. I do believe it's going to rally, and probably leads the charge when the market recovers, but we don't know when that is. So just be mindful of that. I am still pretty much all cash at this point because I still see nothing is clear yet to me. There's still too much to play out, and I really want to see how Q3 is going to be. It doesn't mean I'll probably actually try to take some long positions going into this earnings just to get that pre-earnings run, sell all positions before actually earnings hits, and then watch and see what happens from that point. You can't have FOMO, and you have to take profits in this market because this market is nasty and brutal and will take every penny from you if you're not careful. Unless, again, you're holding with time. Time is always your ally, just as long as you incorporate that into your budget and what's currently going on. And understand that if you're okay waiting 5-10 years, then that's fine. But if you're investing now, if you're DCAing now, expecting that money to come back tenfold by the end of the year, that's a different case. And that's, in my opinion, that's not going to happen. Again, that's not financial advice because I don't think the market is sturdy enough to have a major run and sustain that run with at least the next couple of months. At least until we get back to spring. That spring would be a different case. So reassess that whole situation in spring. But we'll see. So that's where I am with Bitcoin. Tesla actually tech took a major wall up today. I did call that out at ascending wedge, and it started selling heavy today. Finally got that second break bottom. I'm really watching this 267. If it does hit and hold here, I probably will actually take a position here to the long side. And for earnings, keep a very tight stop on this, and then hopefully rally back up and play the zone. Again, unless there's panic, then it's not going to matter. I don't know. Everything can come down a lot if there is panic induced. Could potentially, again, if it breaks that level, you're coming down to the 26.26. We got another level here at the 255 and the 26.26 to the 209 mark. I think the way things are, if we break 36.36, you'll at least see roughly that 215. Although I think if it does see a 215 again, it's going to be a wick and it's not going to last long. So that's what I'm kind of watching with Tesla. This could sell off even more tomorrow if it can't hold the 285 mark. Then you got one at 280, and then you got a pretty big gap down to the 268. So that's kind of what I'm watching on how quick this thing starts breaking down and go from there. Again, this was a safe haven, and now it's starting to die out. So just be mindful of that. BA, again, turning over and selling heavy. Again, breakouts are not working. The descending wedge doesn't work after the initial breakout. It starts selling off heavy. Ascending wedges do work in this market. Descending wedges do not. You get a quick bounce. If you don't sell that bounce after the next day after the break, this is what you're going to get, and that's what I've been seeing essentially almost all year. So we'll have to see on that, but it's still got a long ways. It does have support at the 134, and then we are kind of watching that 120 as well. Now the banks, JPM. JPM is at a very critical level. If it breaks 110, this thing is going to sink, and the bottom channel is way down here at 95. So just be mindful of that. Goldman Sachs, same thing. Again, this thing ran. This was one of the better banks that held together better, but it's got a long way to fall. Does have support at the 300. Again, your psychological number. Support at the 289, and then support at the 280. I think this thing can hit all the way down, back down to the roughly around the 280 and hold there. And then unless there's, again, a black swan, these things will break. But if the banks really give out, I think we're going to be in trouble, and it's going to send us past that 36 and see some really red days. And same thing with Bank of America here. The 32, it breaks 32. You're going to see the 30, and then it breaks that. You got a big gap down after that point. So I don't want to make this video too long, as I think the weekly update will be more important, and tomorrow will be more important. We want to see what we've done, especially coming out of the 75-point basis move. I thought the market would have sold more, but you did have Yellen come on and say that inflation wasn't bad. So there's always that. And so you're having contradicting information that comes out there. The administration is telling you that everything's okay. Powell is telling you it's not. And Powell is the one who ultimately has power in this market. You have to understand one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful person in the world is Powell, because everybody's under the U.S. dollar, and then also understand that he dictates monetary policy, and monetary policy affects housing, affects businesses, affects how the world turns. So, in my mind, he is the most powerful man in the world. There is no other man in the world that can move the markets like he can. He says one wrong word, and the whole market will pivot off of one wrong word that comes out of his mouth. That's why he's been so generic and a lot of different things that he comes out with. And he's been hawkish. He's been very transparent about being hawkish. That should concern you, because his words matter, and he knows they have weight in the market. So with that being said, don't feel bad in this market. Just be prepared. That's what I've been trying to say. You have to, if you can survive, you can come out very well on the other side of this market, but you have to survive. And I've, again, been cash mostly on a lot of positions. Make a trade in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, and then I wait until the stocks that I like. That's why I talk about Tesla a lot. And when it gets to my level, I'll buy and I'll go long, and then tight stop all the way up on the rallies. Try to get some of these earning rallies, and then play these major dumps at the downside. And that's what's good to be able to play both sides. That's why I do play options, because of the fact I can play both sides easily for the most part, right? You have to understand that the market does try to price in some of these crazy moves because they know these events are coming up that hold a lot of weight. So that's why I do have to hold the essentially what is being priced in every week, and I put that on the watch list. What the market maker is pricing in, because they know how much events weigh into things, and that's why options are a good indicator about what to expect, even though we do jump outside of that expectation quite a bit when there's volatility like this. So that being said, go ahead and drop a like button. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.